Monica.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm Monica Cooper. I'm the chair of this committee.
Okay, Kim.
Good morning, everyone. This is Kim Counts, committee member, a council member, whatever.
Well, that too.
A member.
Thanks, Kim. Vijay.
Hi, Vijay Sari, committee and council member.
Okay, I'm Lonnie St. Cyr. I'm the committee staff liaison. Marcy.
I am Marcy Crane, the contracts manager. Good morning, everybody.
And John.
Good morning, everyone. John Myers, executive director.
Okay, Monica, the next agenda item are the minutes from June 5th. I'm going to try and share my screen. I don't know if you guys will find it helpful.
Okay. So has everybody had a chance to read the minutes? And is there any discussion?
Looks like Vijay and Ken are both muted. Vijay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't have my name either as present or absent, so, and I'm trying to look back if I was, oh, this is from 2020, wait, hold on. I might have opened up something else that was from a different date, so
No, I believe you were there. Sorry.
You're listed. You're listed in the minutes from June 5th.
Okay. I think I'm looking at the wrong date. It opened up the wrong document, so sorry about that. Let me see if I can find the right one.
Can we show you as absent? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, there we are. Okay. I'm good. Oh, sorry. I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Thank you, Vijay.
And is there a second?
Ken, that's going to have to be you. Sorry, it's going to be you and Vijay throughout the entire meeting.
It's okay. I guess, yes. I mean,
Thank you. Yeah, we lost a committee member, Wendy Parent Johnson. She's no longer with the council. She accepted a position with another university. So it was a great.
Yeah. What happened?
We've lost Lonnie temporarily. We
Oh.
Just to continue what Lonnie was saying, Wendy Parent Johnson accepted a position with a USED, with the Virginia Commonwealth University USED, and so she has left the University of Arizona, and as a result is no longer on the council and no longer on this committee. She will be replaced, but that replacement has not been formally confirmed at this point.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, let me see if I can get a hold of Lonnie and find out if she's going to be able to join us.
Sorry about that, everyone. I don't know what happened. Luckily, I have
Okay.
2 computers and hopefully you guys can see me. Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let me try and get to where I could try and share my screen. Sorry about the technical difficulties. This is 2 meetings in a row.
Yeah. Oh, you just,
Okay. Are you
Okay,
able to see the financial update?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
okay.
perfect. So the council has fully obligated the fiscal year 2021 award amount of $1,535,342 and has met the original September 2022 obligation deadline. However, ACL has granted a 1-year no-cost extension for these funds. This extension made the new obligation and project period through September 30th, 2023, allowing an additional year for the work to be completed. The council has until December 31st, 2023 to liquidate these funds. There's approximately 3,731 remaining to be liquidated, and we're working with the Sonora and USAID to get that all finalized. The council has received the full allotment for fiscal year 2022 in the amount of $1,500,930, which is the amount previously estimated. It is level funding to fiscal year 2021, excluding the Puerto Rico reallotment. The obligation and project periods are through September 30th, 2023, with the liquidation of funds through September 30th, 2024. There have been discussions regarding a no-cost extension for these funds as well, but nothing official has gone through yet. The council has fully obligated these funds and will need to complete the work by September of 2023. There's approximately $239,961 remaining to be liquidated. And then finally, the council has received a 3rd allotment, which was kind of surprising, for fiscal year 2023 funding in the amount of $398. So it's not much. I guess they just reassessed how the allotment was working, or there were some additional funds to be redistributed. This brings the total current funding for fiscal year 2023 to $1,501,328. There's approximately $395,568 remaining to obligate, which we'd like to do before the end of the month so that the work can be completed in the 2nd year of funding to meet the period of performance requirement, which runs through September 30th of next year, with the liquidation of funds through September 30th, 2025. Does anyone have any questions on this sheet? Okay, moving on to the additional ADDPC awards. The council has received an additional award in the amount of $84,288 for COVID-19 specific projects. These funds are being tracked and reported on separately. ACL has also granted a 1-year no-cost extension for these funds. And these funds must now be obligated and the work completed by the end of this month. To date, we have spent $59,592 and have encumbered another $23,770 through September 30th of this year. The award was granted to NAU IHD for a project to better understand the lived experiences of people with disabilities throughout the pandemic, including barriers to health services such as awareness and access to the COVID-19 vaccine. And then the next set of funds are for expanding the public health workforce within the disability network. We've received an additional award in the amount of $95,319. These funds will also be tracked and reported on separately. The obligation and project period are through September 30th of next year, so 2024. And this contract has finally been awarded, and so these projects are fully encumbered at this point. Any questions on this sheet? Okay. We've got a lot of projects going on. I just want to highlight one. We have granted the Sonoran, you said, their refugee research project, year 3, a no-cost extension through 12/31/2023. So it's a 3-month no-cost extension. Originally, the contract end date was 9/30 of this year, so this month. They needed a little bit more time. And in order for us to be able to give them an extension, we had to submit a letter to ACL and be granted an extension ourselves. So we were granted that extension from ACL, and so we were able to then pass it on to the Sonoran, you said. Any questions on this sheet? Okay. One more final sheet. Bear with me, guys. And again, this is really small. What I have highlighted are the projects that we have identified in the work plan to fund, and they're on the agenda to review and vote on today, just to let you know that they've been budgeted. And we also show a small surplus of $40,728. And the work plan committee has identified projects for fiscal year 24, which may be able to utilize these funds. Any questions on this sheet? Okay. And it looks like we're ready for agenda item B, Monica.
Okay,
And that is the Sonoran Center Native Disability Renewal. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at an old agenda.
Impact Analytica.
It's
What?
Impact Analytica, the Disability Hub. And Marcy's going to provide a summary for that.
Has everyone had a chance to look at a proposal, or could pull it up, or Lonnie, if you want to share the screen for these, please?
Yeah, can you see it?
I see fiscal summary.
Okay. Well, I changed my tab.
There
Okay.
you go.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to make an overview comment with all of these. We reviewed, staff did have a chance to review all of these that came in. And then late last week, we sent clarifications. The clarifications did not make it into your packet. They will for executive and full council because of the amount of time that they needed to comply with some of the questions, and then with our open meeting law requirement to get information posted online. So what you have in front of you is basically the proposal, and I'll go over each of these and also discuss some of the clarification responses that they were able to clarify. And since we're doing individual, sounds like we're doing individual votes on these. If you have additional information you would like, or information that I did not cover, then we'll have that discussion after each of these. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is the Disability Data Hub by Dr. Alex Kurse, who is with ASU. So these are all year 3 proposals. So we've asked him to provide a summary proposal for 3rd-year funding at $20,000 and a match. So what was requested as additional information was additional budget information that we received from Alex late last night. The Disability Data Hub is currently on our website, as you should know, and it offers state and county specific disability statistics in a user-friendly dashboard. It covers 6 domains that include demographics, income, education, employment, housing, and transportation. The data is drawn from the Census Bureau, American Community Survey, and American Housing Survey. In the 2nd year, Dr. Kurse, with assistance with council staff, especially John Myers, they worked on finalizing a data sharing agreement with DES to source local data collected by DDD. So moving forward, this will allow for more statewide focus on individuals with developmental disabilities data that DDD collects on who has provided supports and services from them. We just finalized some of the initial meetings with DES and DDD staff, their staff that oversee all the data collection. And it's exciting to see, I don't know how many years it's going to go back, but it's going to be specific related to DDD. It's going to be non-identifiable information. If the council supports the third year of funding, Dr. Kurz will update the dashboard 6 domains as general disability data becomes available, and he will continue to work with council staff and DDD to facilitate discussion on the specific Arizona disability data to host on the data hub and create new dashboards for the DES data sets. Once these data sets are updated, he plans for webinar training sessions on how to use the disability data hub, continue to track website usage and specific questions from users. And he does have ongoing communication and meetings with staff. There are no contract concerns that we've had over the years with Dr. Kurz. It's been a pleasure to work with him and to have the data sets and the data hub hosted on our website. Any questions?
This is Kin. I just wonder, how many years back are they going to collect the data? So, like
from DES?
Yes, and
I don't recall off if it was 5 years, 10 years. John, do you recall how far back they were going?
I believe we go back to 2015.
Okay, so almost close to 10 years.
10 years. Okay, that'll work. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Monica, back to you for a motion.
Okay, I call for a motion for this proposal.
Mrs. Bajad, I'll make a motion to approve this proposal.
Thank you,
Okay,
Vijay.
go ahead, Tim.
Kin second.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries.
Okay, Monica, the next item on the agenda is the Arizona Center for Disability Law, Project STEEP, their year 3 renewal.
Okay. This is Marcy again. I will give the overview of SEEP. So SEEP is the special education advocacy project that the council has been funding for the past 2 years with the Arizona Center for Disability Law. This is for $150,000 and will be its final third year that's in our council work plan. SEEP, the purpose of SEEP and why we started funding it was to address the gaps and needs by students with IDD along with their families and caregivers to understand their rights in the special education system. They do 3 things. They provide basic and complex technical assistance, a number of resources that they have developed and continue to maintain and distribute out, and conduct training. This year, they are continuing to focus on particularly youth in the foster care and in the juvenile justice system. And they're going to also focus on the refugee community and the Native American students in the Four Corners region. So they've added 2 other complex needs of students. In addition, as I said, in addition to the TA, what is provided in your packet is a listing of the 8 training sessions that they're going to conduct throughout the year as Exhibit A. There are approximately 2 per quarter, either in person or online. Training is provided statewide, educating various audiences. There's going to be 1 training in Spanish, 1 for the Arizona refugee community, and the training up in the Four Corners area in collaboration within their Native American Disability Law Center. Some of the other Folks that will be attending the trainings include juvenile court dependency 101 judges, early childhood professionals, Department of Child Safety, and the African American Conference on Disabilities. They expect anywhere between 15 to 20 participants per training, and they will gather demographic and survey data after each of the trainings to provide in their reports. Multiple partners are part of SEEP that they've expanded to include Department of Education, Department of Child Safety, Administrative Office of the Courts, and multiple nonprofit organizations such as Raising Special Kids, Foster Adopt Connections, Black Mothers Forum, Casa Children, and Advocacy 319. ACDL is unique as a nonprofit law firm with legal staff that includes attorneys and advocates who are highly knowledgeable about the various legal rights of individuals with DD under the American with Disabilities Act, Section 504 of the Rehab Act, Section 1557 of the Affordable Care Act, the Fair Housing Act, and other federal and state disability rights law. They are the only entity in Arizona providing free legal representation and advocacy services related to education and transition to employment needs for children and young adults with developmental disabilities. ACDL represents children in negotiations, mediation, administrative complaints before the Arizona Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights and due process proceedings in Arizona Office of Administrative Hearings. ACDL will provide data in two forms using two different surveys to track feedback from participants. The first one is going to be those attending the training session. They will provide a survey after the session ends to gain their feedback and their understanding and knowledge learned. And that information will be tabulated and provided in their final narrative report. The second survey is going to capture some specific information that the council wanted on the technical assistance, such as the basic and the complex technical assistance they provide to families. And we want to see if a client's issue is resolved to their satisfaction or if more information was needed. And especially with complex technical assistance, which takes over a period of months to resolve or even a year or up to several years, we wanted to see how that feedback is utilized by the Disability Law Center to make any changes on their end. So you'll see a survey, a sample shown as Exhibit D in the proposal. Some of this information is going to be gathered 3 months post the end or conclusion of the technical assistance. Finally, just some current data that they have collected to date that I provided through three quarterly narrative reports submitted. They have provided 76 basic technical assistance. They have worked on 28 complex technical assistance cases, and they provided 9 training sessions in this past year. They've exceeded their projected numbers for year 2, and we will receive a final narrative report due in October that will be summarized for our final PPR. The budget outlines various staff and interns that they use from ASU and U of A Law School with their time used as match. The staff, and there's a number of them, all have a part in managing this project, and their time is allocated appropriately. For us, it provides a more realistic picture of the work and who's conducting the trainings, managing the caseloads, doing the technical assistance, etc. Also, funds are dedicated for translation and interpretation services, travel, which allows staff to attend meetings to provide individualized services or meeting with community members or schools. And just as a note for us to understand a couple of things is ACDL does not have a direct funding stream dedicated to special education. However, with the years of funding that the council has provided to them, they have used this project and the data they collected to share with future private and public funders about the impact and efficacy of SEEP. And so in the future, they do have hopes of sustaining this project. Any questions on SEEP? Okay. Monica, back to you for a motion.
Okay, I call for a motion for this proposal.
Bichette, so moved.
Thank
Okay,
you, Virginia.
Any second?
Kim Count second.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kim.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. I don't know if I'm supposed to.
You're okay, Monica.
Okay. But so I do approve of it.
Okay.
I just didn't know what the protocol was, whether I could go ahead and vote.
Well, you're fine. It's okay.
Okay.
And so there's no abstentions.
Yeah, no abstention.
Okay. And so the next agenda item is going to be the Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence, ACES-DV, their education to reduce abuse. It's their year 3 renewal.
Okay, so ACES-DV, which is the Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence, is coming in for a third-year funding at $35,000 to continue the training for Arizona IDD service providers. They are going to provide 4 training sessions, 1 in person in Kingman, and then conduct 3 virtual training sessions to attract a higher number of participants around the state, especially in other rural parts of the state and for the Spanish-speaking community. They did want to focus a little bit more on the Spanish-speaking community, as there is a need for them to understand sexual assault and abuse and prevention. They also are wanting to ensure that service providers for the IDD community, including staff at group homes and long-term facilities, are part of the training. The training sessions are free of charge. They are 4 hours in duration, and the training materials and PowerPoint have all been updated with input by council staff and the ARC of Arizona to ensure terms and descriptions of people with IDD are accurate. All training sessions are recorded and are on their website. The course content includes the following. First one is Sexual Violence 101. The second overview is Introduction to Addressing Sexual Violence in IDD Populations. The third session is Introduction to Disability and IDD. The fourth is Mandatory Reporting and Retaliation. And the fifth is Sexual and Domestic Violence among Children with IDD. ACES-DV staff will update all the current training curricula with assistance from the ARC of Arizona and the Arizona State Independent Living Center as needed. It will include Spanish interpretation, rural and Spanish-speaking community information, and information about abuse against children with IDD. After each training session, participants fill out a satisfaction survey to gauge their understanding and usage of how they use it. They will plan on using the information. In their second year grant, a total of 328 participants attended one of these training sessions, of which 10 were from out of state. Participants came from all 15 Arizona counties, which is remarkable because we never see that. The data also showed that 30 participants were individuals with IDD, 21 were family members and caregivers, and then the majority were professionals. So kudos to them on doing significant outreach. Feedback from participants has been positive, with 98% stating they were satisfied or highly satisfied with the training and information provided. The budget reflects the cost that will support the activities, and they are budgeting for ASL interpretation for each of the training, and they will also ensure that the materials are translated into Spanish. So they have that cost as well into the budget, as well as travel into Kingman. Any questions on ACES-DV?
Yes. How often the meetings
You kind of broke up.
sorry, how often are they providing the trainings?
It's going to be 4 trainings. So they're going to do one a quarter.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Back to you.
All right, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion. This is Bajat.
Thank you, Vijay.
Kim, second.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kim.
Any final discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Thank you, Monica. The next item on the agenda is the Sonoran Center's Native Disability Center Year 3 renewal.
Okay, last one for me. So thank you for being so patient with me as we run through these. The next one coming in for year 3 renewal is from the Sonoran UCED at the University of Arizona, the Native Center for Disabilities, or they call it the Native Center. You'll see it throughout its proposal as Native Center. The mission of the Native Center is to provide a Native-focused program to increase knowledge of disability services, advocacy, and programs to all Arizona 22 tribal communities and off-reservation urban communities that have a significant Native American population. This funding for 3rd year will continue the tribal partnerships that are in place and support further outreach to other tribal communities that are not yet part of the work. Partnerships with the tribal communities aim to further develop activities by fostering awareness, services, and partnerships benefiting the Native population. This is done by providing culturally sensitive programs to amplify awareness of disability services, advocacy, and support within the Native American populations across the states. With initial funding over the first 2 years, the Sonoran UCED initiated foundational activities to establish its presence that included talking circles, monthly webinar presentations, quarterly newsletters, and outreach efforts that led to face-to-face meetings with 10 tribal communities to communicate the project activities. There was also outreach efforts to partner with federal, state, and community organizations about the need to support the tribal communities. A list of the 10 tribal communities that staff visited is on page 2 of the renewal application. The Native Disability Center has built and continues to partner with multiple communities, tribal communities, federal, state, and local agencies. The program is focused on sustaining this project with guidance from their input and their ongoing support of the UCED staff. The 3rd year will allow Sonoran UCED to focus on 4 main objectives. The first is to expand outreach to other tribal communities and to form new partnerships. The second is creating diverse employment opportunities for adult individuals with disabilities by supporting culturally responsive training programs that match the skills and aspirations of tribal members. The third is forming a partnership with the U.S. Department of Labor, Division of Indian and Native American Programs to develop national technical assistance training materials. And 4, creating additional awareness and resources for certain specific disabilities, including autism, comorbid mental health with developmental disabilities, traumatic brain injury, and fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. These resources will include informative materials, training modules for caregivers and professionals, and online platforms for sharing experiences and knowledge. A key aspect of the Native Center is the Sonoran UCED's commitment to supporting the target disparity mandate, which is a requirement of ACL for all councils to obtain. And our targeted disparity mandate is to increase meaningful employment opportunities for transition age youth with IDD, which is ages 14 to 22 from the Navajo Nation. by supporting a focus on training, technical assistance, direct services, and resources. This has progressed through the creation and maintenance of participation in pre-employment transition services, project search, a school pilot site partnership, and tribal state folk rehab employment services. Data that has been gathered to date shows 81 individuals with IDD, 32 family members and caregivers, and 631 professionals have participated in a talking circle or webinar and training, and approximately 97% of survey respondents stated their knowledge and their skills increased due to attending an event. The budget for the third year supports the ongoing activities of the staff and consultants. The council has expressed a concern with the length of time in hiring the key program manager who will work closely with the Sonoran USAID to ensure this aspect does not delay the work and the targeted disparity. And in their clarification feedback, I just want to cover a couple things that they stated to staff. With Wendy being gone and moved on, Wendy is listed as a consultant, so you'll see her name listed as a consultant in the budget along with Jim Warney, I believe. So they're both going to be working with JC Farkas, who is the project investigator, the key staff, who is going to be working closely on this. They specifically stated that they are actively recruiting for the program manager position and hopeful to have someone in this role by the new calendar year. The key person that they're looking for is someone who is Native American and has disability experience and an expert in it. Not going to say expert, but experience in disability issues. So they are seeking someone currently for this position for staff, for the lead and the staff. The other things I do want to bring up in terms of the targeted disparity and some other questions we asked is we wanted to ensure who was going to be overseeing this and some of the activities that they were going to undertake, because this is a primary focus to report on back to ACL. Joshua Drywater is the Native Initiatives Program Manager. He's listed in the budget, and he will have primary role in coordinating and integrating and working on the targeted disparity requirement, and specifically working with the Navajo Nation's Office of Special Education and Rehab to build capacity for providing transition services and work-based learning opportunities. And so we feel like at least they have a staff person that will be overseeing that key mandate. They are going to track the number of Navajo youth with IDD participating in work-based learning. They're going to track the number of Navajo youth with IDD participating in leadership, advocacy, and skill building activities, the number of Navajo Nation schools and staff receiving training and technical assistance to build capacity for transition services, provision leading to meaningful employment. So they have a couple of benchmarks that they're going to track for us this next year. In terms of outreach to the tribal communities, as stated, they've made significant inroads in the first 2 years in meeting with 10 different tribes. They plan to continue those relationships with them. Everyone is unique. Everyone is tailored to the different tribes, so they have a different approach. And in terms of maintaining those, it's very important for them to do so. And their plan is to continue to outreach to the other communities, tribal communities as well. Their goal is to engage with all 22 by the end of the 5th year of funding of this program. And they plan to ensure that they're still able to participate in their community events, including powwows, talking circles, and tribal gatherings, develop multilingual materials where appropriate, developing partnerships with key champions within the tribal community that serves as gatekeepers for them, adjusting their surveys and questionnaires that are culturally appropriate for the community, and bringing and showcasing the Sonoran Center's resources and trainings into new areas. One of the key upcoming meetings I have coming up is meeting with the Intertribal Council of Arizona's Social Services Directors Work Group on September 14th. And they plan on showcasing the Native Center, including some of the transition employment programs for Native youth, the tribal communities they've met with, and some of the information that they have gathered to date or shared information for. So they have a full list of different communities working with to meet with. And then last, we wanted to make sure that overall in their evaluation, we wanted to make sure that not only they're just capturing output numbers such as number of products and resources, trainings conducted, products disseminated, number of talking circles, number of family members, professionals, tribal members, individuals IDD reach. We want to see surveys, which is going to be one of my comments back to them, is to ensure that some of the outcome data can also be gathered to ensure that the information that tribal communities are receiving is being used and is helpful to them. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions on this particular contract.
So let me understand. So they're looking for somebody to replace Wendy? Is that what you're saying?
No. So that's separate. Who would be executive director? So Wendy was the project lead staff over this contract period. Since she moved out of state, she worked out an agreement to be a consultant on this. But J.C. Farkas, who has been with the Sonoran USAID at least for over a decade, for at least as I've known her, she is going to be acting project lead over this. They have the position opened, and so they hope to fill the program manager position by the end of the first quarter.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. Back to you, Monica.
Okay. So I call for a motion to approve this proposal.
This is Vijette, so moved.
Thank you, Vijette.
Kim Cow, second.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Monica and Marcy. The next item on the agenda is the ARC of the United States, the Arizona Sexual Violence and Disability Network proposal, which John's going to review.
All right, thank you, Lonnie. You'll notice that on the agenda, this is listed for discussion but not action. This is to provide a little bit of background. As everybody knows, the council has been very heavily involved in work around sexual violence against people with IDD. Actually, since before the Hacienda incident back in 2018, Erica assembled a group earlier that year, actually, that started working on this issue. And then, of course, Hacienda came around and it became a matter of greater urgency. More people got involved, and ultimately the council took on the role of funding community projects. And over the last 2 years, the council has been funding the ARC of the United States and its National Center on Criminal Justice and Disability to help formalize a network of organizations and individuals around the state of Arizona to address this issue and to come up with some solutions, some policy recommendations, but also some practical recommendations around how to prevent sexual violence against people with disabilities, and also how to respond more appropriately when it does happen. So the council's been funding this project for the last 2 years. We're currently finishing up the second year of funding for NCCJD and the ARC of the United States. They are on a 90-day no-cost extension through September 30th. And we asked them to submit a proposal for third-year funding. We made it very clear that that the third year would be the final year of funding for this program if, in fact, the council decided to fund it. One of the things that we noticed, though, when we got the renewal proposal was that to our eyes anyway, and by our, I mean Marcy and Lonnie and I, as we reviewed this proposal, to our eyes, it did not seem to demonstrate that much had been done to actually move the needle on response or prevention. There has been a tremendous amount of work done over the last 2 years in formalizing the network of organizations and individuals and putting some structure around how they operate and what their goals are, and building a strategic plan and building a brand, essentially an identity. So a lot of work has gone into that. But what we haven't seen, and by the way, I don't want to be the only one who talks about this. So Marcy and Lonnie, if you have thoughts to share as well, please jump in. But what we've noticed is that it's been very inward focused and not in our opinion anyway, not outward focused enough. There isn't much evidence that it has changed things, that other than coming up with this structure and other than having a lot of meetings, there hasn't been much done to support individuals with IDD who are or may be victims of sexual abuse, exploitation, that kind of thing. So we got the proposal. We were pretty disappointed with what it proposed, even for the third year. And one of the keys, one of the keys always with council funding is sustainability, is the ability for our grantee organization, if the project has a long-term focus, we want to be able to see that it can be sustained over the long term after we stop funding it. What we didn't see in this proposal, in addition to that movement to better support communities around the state, was a plan for sustainability. There is talk of it. There is talk of seeking future funding, but there was no concrete evidence in the proposal that was actually being identified, or at least there was no sense of where that funding would come from if it had been identified. So this is not a complete list of the issues we had with it. There were some issues around the budget and so forth, but basically we felt that this was not a proposal that was strong enough to bring to the committee for approval for a third year of funding. Now, subsequent to us having our internal conversation, I had a rather lengthy conversation with Leanne McKingsley, who is the staff person at the ARC at NCCJD, who's been leading this project for the last couple of years. And she shared some information with me, which probably would have been very helpful for them to include in the proposal, about their sustainability plan and what they think is a pretty strong prospect for long-term funding, actually funding that could take them up to an additional 10 years on this project. But none of that information was included in the proposal. And it is, by the way, it is not a certainty. It seems likely, but it is not a certainty. But they didn't inform us of that. They also provided me with some information, or Leanne provided me with some information, some anecdotal information about their community impact. But even that doesn't demonstrate that the various work groups that are part of this network have actually developed products or actually developed services that are being used in the community. They, and if you've read the proposal, they say they've reached more than 900 people through a series of webinars and in-person events and so forth. But we have no evidence that they've done any surveys or any feedback, or they've conducted any feedback efforts to get a sense of whether people are using the information, whether any state agencies have adopted it, whether any private nonprofits have adopted it. So we don't know. They may have had 900 people in their various things, but they aren't showing that whatever their information they're providing is actually being utilized, or if it is being utilized, what difference it's making for people. There's also the issue that they've had a lot of turnover. There are 5 work groups within this network. They've had a lot of turnover in the leadership of those work groups. most of that is beyond their control because, people take jobs. A number of the work group leaders, like when I was with the ARC of Arizona, I led the criminal justice work group. Well, obviously I left the ARC and am now with the council. So they had to find a replacement for that work group. Several other work group leaders have left because they've accepted other positions with other organizations outside of Arizona, or the organization they're going to work for doesn't have the time or can't allow them the time to be involved in this, and so on and so forth. So that turnover has created a lot of inconsistency and kind of a lack of routine in what the work groups are doing. And that could certainly contribute to the lack of product, I guess, from those work groups. There's also, I think, a reality that we're facing, that this topic itself has become a little less urgent in the minds of a lot of people in Arizona. If we were seeing more incidents like Hacienda happening, we probably would be hearing about sexual abuse and sexual exploitation more frequently. But fortunately, we've heard very few instances since Hacienda. What we know is the problem hasn't gone away, but in the minds of the general public, it may be less urgent. And that is reflected, I think, in the level of activity of a number of people who are involved with the network. Their activity has lessened. They've become more absorbed with perhaps other work responsibilities or other volunteer responsibilities. In any case, this is all probably just a very long-winded way of saying that we didn't find this proposal compelling enough to recommend it to you for a third year of funding. That being said, this is an issue that remains very, very important to all of us, I think personally as well as professionally. And I believe that the council has made a commitment and needs to honor that commitment to focus on this issue moving into the future. We have an entire goal area as part of our 5-year plan and our annual work plan that focuses on safety for people with IDD. And this is easily among the top 2, maybe 3 safety issues among the IDD community. So our thought is that rather than fund a third year of a project that we don't feel confident is going to make the difference we want it to make, we would rather step back and reconfigure the scope of work, reconfigure the expectations, maybe rephrase some of those expectations, and issue a new scope of work next fiscal year, in fiscal year 24, that would seek to accomplish exactly what we think is most important. And we would certainly welcome the feedback of you as grant committee members. We'll seek the feedback from other members of the council so that we put together the scope of work that really meets what we as a council as a whole feel is most important for the community. I've probably talked far too long. Marcy or Lonnie, anything you wanted to add?
I think you covered it very nicely. And I agree with John. It is still such an important topic because it is part of our work plan. Will probably continue to be part of our safety goal. We just want to figure out a way of how to get back to what the intent of our goal and our objective is. And, so we hope that by creating a new scope of work next year, if that's the decision of the council to do, we will create something different that gets back to meeting the goal and the objective. But overall, what John stated was very succinctly put, to be quite honest.
Lonnie, any thoughts?
No, I echo what you and Marcy have stated. So thank you for summarizing what we concluded.
Sure. Now, having
go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Monica.
No, I was just saying, I'm not sure where to go from here. If we're not,
Anyone have any thoughts?
I do, since I mentioned, I think if they're not doing the work, or if they're not showing, you can say that you're doing the work, but if you're not showing it, I don't think it's worth keeping.
Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Monica. We're torn. I mean, I want to be clear. We are very torn because we've invested as a council in this work for the last couple of years. I mean, it's certainly not the largest grant we've made, but it is an investment of a significant amount of money, and I think we were hoping or expecting, I suppose, something a little more robust would have come out of this. And it's not to be overly critical, because I do believe the people who've been involved in the project have been committed to it. But again, there are those issues of turnover among work group leaders, maybe the fact that Leanne McKingsley from the ARC is based in Texas rather than in Arizona. Maybe that has impeded some of the work and kept her from being as fully focused on Arizona issues as we would like. I mean, there could be a whole host of problems, but we don't want to abandon this work, and I think I've been clear about that. We just don't feel that this is like the funding the third year of this project is likely to get us what we're after. Kian or Vijay, do you have any thoughts?
I agree that if it's not working, I mean, this is the third year. So before the turnovers, what have they done? The first year, the second year, I mean, being turnover, but this is the third year. It's not like first year they have a turnover, then yeah, But then if it's not working, I think we should move. Just move forward and no, I mean, if this is not working, I mean, a grant is a grant. Money is there, and then if it's not used, in a way that we're expecting it to be used and objectives and goals met, then I think we should move forward to something. I agree with you, John.
Okay. Thank you.
If we moved, I mean that this is still an objective of the committee and the council. So if we move forward and not with the ARC, what would be the opportunities that we can take to move this goal forward, not with the ARC?
Well, the work. Well, I'm going to just kind of throw this out off the top of my head. I think we can recraft the scope of work. We can reissue a solicitation by next spring, so that by, say, July 1st, we could, ideally anyway, we could be funding a new project that fits within this particular objective and these activities in our work plan. That's not a lot of time for us to make it happen, but I think we can. We've got a good foundation to start from with the existing scope of work. My sense is also that with the organizations that have been involved in this network, both the ARC of Arizona, the Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence, as well as lots of other organizations that have been volunteering their time, we can probably, we will probably receive some proposals that that focus on what we want, that are with organizations based here in Arizona, and that will focus the amount of time on this effort that we think is necessary to see some movement. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think within a relatively short period of time, and certainly within the coming fiscal year, we'll be able to reignite this project. And so we won't lose a lot of momentum. I think the work that has already begun will, in some form or fashion, continue even without the funding of the ARC for the next, say, 9 or 10 months. I don't think the folks who are involved are going to abandon it altogether. And I think by next summer we could be funding a new project that would get them more formally involved again. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I think I'm looking at these letters of support here, and it looks like, and I can't tell, is Banner University as well as the Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence, are these new partners with them, or are these people that have just recently become engaged and they've just, they've been working this time to engage with them and now move it forward? I'm not clear. I'm kind of with you. I'm torn. So-
Right. No, ACES DV has been a partner ever since the beginning. I mean, they had
Okay.
representation back when Erica pulled the first group together. So they've been involved, and they've had a few staff changes, but the woman who's their project lead right now, Carrie Utizzi, she's also the lead on the training project that you all approved funding for a few minutes ago.
Mhm.
She is fantastic. They, as an organization, have been really good to work with. They've been open to learning more about the IDD community, and it's all been, I think, a very good engagement with them. Banner University Health Plan, it's really about the individual Kimberly Yellowrobe who signed that letter. She is Native American. She has been a liaison to Native American communities for, about the last year. She's relatively new to the project, but I also don't think she's going to go anywhere. I work with her on some other projects in the community, and I understand how committed she is to this topic as well as other issues related to Native Americans with disabilities. So I think she will be willing to continue working regardless of who's leading the project. So I'm not too concerned about them losing project partners. The other partners that you don't see listed here are a variety of different crisis response agencies, counseling agencies, provider organizations from around the state. Again, they all have a commitment to the IDD community, and I think I feel very confident they will continue to want to be involved on this topic, irrespective of who is being funded by the council to lead it.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Sure. So, again, this was not listed on the agenda for action because we weren't bringing it to you for renewal. It's just listed for discussion. We as staff would be happy to discuss it as much as you want. I guess if you feel we're in error in not proposing it for funding, you could also raise that issue. But given the fact that it's not on the agenda for action today, we wouldn't be able to take a vote on renewing the funding. That would have to be brought up with the executive committee next week. But if you all concur with our assessment that it's not a proposal that is going to get us what we're after, then we will notify the ARC and we'll move forward with our plans to recraft that scope of work and reissue a solicitation. Am I speaking in error, Marcy or Lonnie?
No.
Okay. Thank you. I agree with that assessment. My only question would be, so once you complete the revamped scope of work, will they have the opportunity to reapply? Is that within this grants committee? Do they get any points knocked off or forward with just saying, okay, they were a previous grantee, but they weren't able to hold their obligation? Is there anything within that scoring rubric? And then my second thought is, when you tell them that we are not renewing, there'll be very specific very, very specific comments or concerns that you can share with them that would help them understand what we were going for? And is there an open conversation to see where we all kind of missed the mark with this grant?
Well, my understanding is that they would be able to reapply if they wish to do so. In fact, we've had, even within the last year or two, we've had organizations whose funding was not extended who have reapplied for funding in the same area. So unless there's an issue with fraud or malfeasance or of a different sort, whatever, I think we typically open it to anybody who wants to apply. In terms of feedback, we actually encourage grantees to, whether they're funded or not, to come to us and allow us to give them feedback. We don't force it on them. I mean, we will provide a brief explanation as to why the funding wasn't approved, and then ask them, if they would like to talk with us in more detail. We're always happy to do that, and we will be very specific in a kind and compassionate way, of course, but we will detail for them exactly where we found shortcomings in their proposal.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. We appreciate you, listening to that, and appreciate your support for the, I guess, for our assessment of this particular proposal.
Thanks, John. Monica, the final agenda item is to adjourn, so we're gonna let people
Alright.
out early.
Okay, then. I don't need a motion, right?
Nope, no motion needed.
Okay,
Thank you,
then.
everyone.
Thank you. Hey, so John, while I got you on, I just want to clarify. So on my calendar said today was executive and next Friday was full council.
You know what? That might be from an invitation that Erica sent out. I've been running into this a little bit. She sent out invitations for meetings according to the schedule she established long before she left, I think. And so a lot of people still have those invitations on their calendars. Unfortunately, I can't do anything to erase them because they were put together in her account.
Right, I understand, but I just wanted to clarify.
Oh, yeah. So next Friday, the 15th, is executive committee. And then the following Friday, the 22nd, is the full council.
Okay, that's all. I mean, the meeting is adjourned, but I wanted to clarify before I let you all go.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Because I think I'm the one
Yeah.
that gets confused a lot of the time.
All right, well, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.